10 push-ups first.
Thanks very much. I'm not much at this. I don't like public speaking. In fact, I'm as nervous as I was before that operation the other week. But Suzanne is very important part of my life. So I've taken the 7 P's, prior preparation and planning for poor performance, and made a few notes. Quite a few. First met Suzanne when she was about 8 years old. Very perceptive, pretty little girl who was very welcome to me. And I don't know that I would have been welcoming as her to some bloke who was checking her mother out at the time. However, she soon became one of 2 special ladies in my life, and enjoyed that. Developing a friendship, I wanted her to feel part of things, so when we were at home we'd often play board games and card games, and she used to copy all of my single signs and impersonations of the fat lady singing, and some other silly songs we used to do. And she sort of picked up my nonsense and gave it back to me with interest when she had the winning hand in cards. Grooming and deportment is always important to her. She was able to find things to do and she was on her own, and I thought maybe a potential mother coming up here, because she used to dress the dog up in baby's clothes, bonnet, booties, and push it around in the clothes basket. Poor Arnie didn't know whether he liked that more or a bath better. She also used to trim the cat's whiskers occasionally, and it took her mum a while to work out why the cat started to look different. We'd get out and about, go shopping, and she would always want me to come with her, which I was pleased to, but her reason was that she thought, he's a sucker, he'll buy me some extra things, which I did, and she knew how to exploit the weak link. And she had this other little habit too when we'd go out in public. Sometimes we'd come and sit down in the pictures, and just before we'd sit down at the seat, she'd whip in between us and give us this little smile and say, "Do I've got Mum." And then I started to get worried when the boys called, Year 7 boys called on her and her girlfriend Belinda when Heather wasn't home. And I was right out of my comfort zone then. So I called Sister Tanya, who said things will be fine, and they were. Although I was like a cat in a hot tin roof. But perhaps I shouldn't judge the boys how I used to look at girls. So she was a little romantic. In Year 7, she made her mum and I a candlelit supper, and she proceeded with a written invitation to say what time we were to be there and what formal wear we had to wear. And I have a photo somewhere of her pouring the wine and lighting the candles, and it was much appreciated. Correcting misconceptions. When she first went to high school, she made a point of coming out and finding me on yard duty, gave me that little smile and said, "Now I'm one of the big kids." And she also, this is a bit rough, but boys there didn't always like me, and some of the older boys were out in the oval paying me out, calling, saying, "Oh, I hate bloody boy, he's so gay." And she, in her little squeaky voice, we did, "He's not, you know, I've heard him and Mum together." So thanks for supporting us. Some people regard Suzanne, her friends, particularly. Back in one of her school books in her 2nd or 3rd year, I read this note, it was particularly relevant. It said to her from one of her girlfriends, "Thanks, Susie, for being so supportive and a friend of me when I really needed it this year." But then, of course, that was the young days, she started to mature. As she got older, her approach started to change a little bit in public anyway. We'd walk down the street in our shopping and I'd look around and suddenly she'd be 15 yards in front, 15 yards behind. Perhaps it wasn't as cool to be seen with Whitey in case some of those hoons that she had to correct earlier on was around to see. It was a bit more embarrassing. Then at the pictures, Mike and I would take Belinda and Susie to the pictures. We'd all come in, look around, take our nice comfortable seats, and they'd be suddenly get up and move 15, 20 seats away from us, leaving poor Mike and I looking farted. So Greg was now seen as a bit more of a loser, but she used to smile when she said that, so it wasn't felt so bad. And I had to realise she was no longer Mum's little squeaker who used to say things like, "If you don't get that video camera out, Mum's going to get very mad with you." And she's really grown into a lovely young woman, as you see today. I'd like to her a poor girl's Anne Hathaway. And I'll have to wake up. She's not interested in going on the swings anymore, and she's not getting interested in going with Mike to feed the possums. She's participating successfully. When she went to uni, she did really well. She'd be proud of her efforts. She persisted and succeeded in Adelaide when I know she'd rather have been in Mount Gambier. However, she made the most of it, embraced the opportunities and made some really great friends who were prepared to come and make the long trek to rainy Mount Gambier to visit her. She completed her Bachelor of Forensic Science with honours, and in her gap year she literally filled in a few gaps and learnt the drill by becoming a dental nurse. She can feel proud of her efforts. Suzanne has compassion, treating people with respect, rescuing a lost dog on the highway and returning it to its owners. They were so touched they sent her some flowers, and Suzanne said, well, that's what I would want somebody to do for me. Now for the future, coming together is the beginning. Suzanne's teacher told me in Year 12, I think Suzanne will probably get an A, but she's spending an awful lot of time chatting in the lesson to Tristan. I thought, hello, Tristan's done a little bit of spade work here and some planning. And we also suspected a bit more when she used to go what we call burly brains. You try and ask her what's going on, and her brain would just be like burly and a fishing thing, just all over the place. However, keeping together is progress. They survived the long distance to Adelaide. Now for the time for real success, which is working together. My words of wisdom, I've got that with a question mark, should not be unfamiliar to the Grant High School people amongst us. I'm sure there are some here. Trust, respect and commitment. Important guide. Trust, the thing that all organisations and teams are run and need to know things will work. There's no greater hurt or pain than feeling you've been let down by loss of trust. We all know, I think we've all seen Braveheart, where Mel got the Scottish community fighting up against the English oppressors, and he was able to keep doing this till one battle went a little bit pear-shaped, knocked the helmet off of an opponent, and then he just dropped to his knees, shattered, anguish, despair, tears, because one of his, who he thought he trusted, had sided with the English and done a deal. Trust, hard to earn, easily lost, but it's vital glue. Respect, this is the person I want to be with, this special person, positive regard. I won't ever put them down in public, but we will talk and discuss and argue things in private. Well, then we'll talk about the behaviour, not the person, so we'll retain the respect. Commitment, I'm here for all I've got, for all the time, for everything. I'll be like that little dog, that family dog that you've had, who's given you unconditional love and is with you, whatever your status, whatever problems, I just want to be with you. Now, there will be problems. I thought I'll rip in a bit of Latin here, not that I can't handle English properly, but anyhow, the Rats at the Brook, they had lots of adversity, and their motto impressed me, something like goes, aut infinium viam aut faciem. We find the way or we'll make a way. And if you want to get to the heights, it's per astra ad astra, it's always a rocky road to the stars. Now, forming a strong bond of marriage. Hopefully it will be like a covalent bond in chemistry, where two non-metals need that extra electron to be stable, and to do that, what they do is they both share out an electron, and by sharing, both gain. And a real win-win situation. Or putting it in more layman's terms, we haven't lost a daughter, we've gained a son. The final word comes from a man who's pretty cluey about life, Suzanne's Uncle Clyde, who said that marriage is pretty straightforward, a little bit of give and take, but you must remember to swim between the flags. And it's all good for us to say that. I know it's easy to say, and it's all sometimes hard to do because there's lots of undertows out there. But we'll finish with Jiminy Cricket on those things. Always let your conscience be your guide. So good luck, Tristan and Suzanne. Thanks for your indulgence.